You're learning something, you're staying connected, and, animals, how can you be sad? Oh my gosh, the packaging is so cute.
Well, my birthday is coming up, so I'm looking forward to my birthday present. Today, we're talking about love brands. Brands people don't just buy, they genuinely care about them. And because it's February, it just feels like the perfect time to explore what makes this happen.
I agree.
Bobbie, you have strong opinions on this. When you say love brand, what do you actually mean?
Love brands have an emotional tie to you, something that you want to keep coming back to experience more. It's not a fling, it is not a hot date, right? It's something that over time you've grown to love and appreciate. It really goes back to like that consistency, the emotional feeling that you had the first time you got a product from that brand. So it's a long-term relationship.
Okay, so love isn't necessarily just a status or like popularity, it's more around the connection that one's having with the brand.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be a luxury brand. It can be small brands, but it's that memorable moment. I think for me, I know that a brand has reached that love status in my heart when I want to give it as gifts.
Well, my birthday is coming up, so I'm looking forward to my birthday present. So look, let's define it a little bit more. What is a love brand, and what isn't a love brand? Can you break that down for me?
Yeah, so a love brand is something that people choose again and again, even when there's a cheaper option. I don't believe that love brands are forced familiarity. They're not pretending to be your friend and then treating you bad afterwards. It's consistent care that you're receiving from them. They recognize you. It's intentional. It feels really personal.
So that I understand that correctly, what you're saying is that love brands don't necessarily manufacture closeness; they earn it. They take the time to earn.
Exactly. It's the intention they put behind it. And then it's that consistency over time of them continually coming through and meeting those expectations time after time.
Is a love brand about emotion, habit, identity? Is it one of those, or is it all of it?
I believe it's all three. You have to meet all three of those in a person's mind for it to become that love brand.
Like, it's interesting because love is like a very sort of default word that everybody uses, right? Why is love a useful word for brands?
When a brand becomes the default choice because it is a love brand, you're not having to resell or reintroduce your brand over and over again. So the cost of acquiring that customer again is much lower once they've fallen in love with you.
Brands want that because like default choice is like the dream, right? That's a dream scenario.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if there's a cheaper option, if there's a more convenient option. People will wait for shipping. They will pay more when they really love your brand.
Do love brands happen intentionally? Like, is that a strategic play, or can they emerge by accident, or by default? Like, how does that work?
What you can't do is fake it. So, just like any other relationship in life, you can fake things for a bit in the early honeymoon stage, but eventually the truth is going to come out, right? And
Right.
that's where you have to be intentionally following through every single time with the promise that you've made to your customers.
That's the real test, right? When it's inconvenient.
Yeah. When it's inconvenient and they still choose you, that's when you know that people have decided you're real.
Interesting, and really good insight. And just on something you mentioned earlier, that love brands can sort of start before you even sort of touch the product or engage with the brand. What do you mean by that exactly?
I'm a consumer at heart. And I also am probably the ideal person to market to because if I see a good ad, I'm probably going to try it once. But the thing is that generally, when making a purchase, your emotions come first and then logic comes second. So a lot of people will buy emotionally and then reason afterwards. Love brands understand sensory layers, so they understand color, texture, scent, the tiny little details of the unboxing moment. So you can think about the orange Hermes box. Your brain already knows what that moment's going to be when you receive it as a gift and you're opening it up or you're buying it for yourself. Moments like that, they create memory in your mind and you want to keep going back for that.
That sensory cues like
Yes.
create emotional recall, right? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Okay.
exactly. And you don't even have to be a huge brand like Hermes to reach that status. Like there's an amazing jewelry store in Seattle called Madison Park Jewelry, and they have these beautiful deep green boxes. So opening
Uh,
it feels like a ceremony. So it can be localized too. It doesn't have to be massively big.
Give us a love brand that's not yet globally famous.
One of my favorite newest love brands is called Orska, and it is a Polish brand. We have an office in Warsaw, and I've been with Rhapsody for a little over a year now. The first trip that I took there, my hotel was next to a sort of a shopping area, and I was walking through, and there was this amazing kind of quirky jewelry from the window, and I was walking past and I stopped and I looked at it and it just made me smile. So I walked inside. I'm an American speaking English. The person working there was so friendly and patient. So I decided to purchase a little something. And then you get this box that's like a black box with white polka dots. And it was adorable, right? That was my first experience. And then the next time I went back, I went and got a little bit more.
It was a lovely story, and I'm just interested to know, what did they get right for you? Because there was a lot to unbox there, no pun intended, but what did they get right for you?
So I think it was a unique, right? I'd never seen it before. Designs were whimsical, but then they were also quirky, and there was an element of just unexpected happiness that you would get by walking in there. They were very helpful, and then it's the consistency of every time I go in there, I know what to expect. I know that my experience there is going to be good. And when I wear it, every time I get compliments from other people. But like reinforces in your mind that was a good purchase. So you want to keep going back for that.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm just circling back to when you first told us your first experience when you walked in there. It sounds like they really did invest in you, and it sounded like they really wanted to understand who you were. Like, how did that go? How was that sort of first engagement?
Because I don't speak Polish, she could have not helped me at all, right? And then I would have never tried it out and never gone back again. So I think that was one thing. The other thing was just they were such unique pieces, and it was also not unattainably unaffordable. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't something that was so outrageous that I couldn't ever get
Gotcha.
it. So I think it was in that realm of like, yeah, I can treat myself and I'm not breaking the bank. They treated me really well, and oh my gosh, the packaging is so cute.
No, it definitely sounds like they've got something right there. And but talk to me about another brand that you love that is like totally different, maybe a different end of the spectrum. Who would you say sort of a love brand for you there? What does that look like?
This is really easy for me. So it would be Bird Buddy. What Bird Buddy is, they started on creating a Kickstarter account, right? And they did fundraising through that to build the prototype. Bird Buddy is a birdhouse that has a camera. So every time a bird comes to your bird feeder, this camera identifies the bird, tells you facts about them, tells you their song, like it'll play back chirps. So you're learning. If you're way traveling, you can log in to your bird feeder and see what birds are there live. The experience was amazing. I like nature and animals. So I wanted to try it for myself, but then I realized I could gift it to my dad, and then I could see the birds that come to his house. So you get to share each other's feed. And so I've ended up buying 3 of them for other people, and I have 2 myself.
Why was that so special for you?
It was keeping me connected to people that are far away. And it's also a conversation starter. So, I want to reach out to my dad and see how he's doing. It kind of gives me that ability to be like, oh, I saw you got a cardinal today. It's helpful in just staying connected to people you love. But you can also connect to anybody in the world. You're learning something, you're staying connected, and, animals, how can you be sad?
True, and it sounds like that particular love brand for you, the real differentiator and the sort of key element of that is that human connection.
Yes.
And sounds like very important to you, and it sounds like that brand resonates with its customer that way.
Yes. So I've talked a lot about me. I want to bring in big brand examples that we've worked with at Rhapsody because love brands aren't only small and they're not only luxury, they can span multiple sectors. So let's talk about Xiaomi. From your perspective, what do you think makes Xiaomi a brand with love behavior behind it.
That's such a big question as well, right? Because they're the world's third largest tech company, right? They turn over something like $36 billion. And what's interesting about Xiaomi is that a lot of its growth has come from community behaviors. They didn't build their brand purely sort of through ads, like you mentioned earlier, right? They built it through people, feedback loops, forums, sort of early fan culture, products evolving visibly based on sort of user input. And I think that's been sort of key elements of Xiaomi and how they've developed a love brand for their consumers. I mean, I've been working with Xiaomi just over a year and I'm in love with the brand. Like, it's a fantastic brand. The tech is unbelievable. And they haven't paid me to say any of this, by the way. More recently, we did their first store opening in the UK down at Stratford, Westfield. And the tech on display and that sort of whole ecosystem was mind-blowing. And one of the key areas for me, and apologies, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but again, just so passionate about this brand. For me, it is all about connection. And that could be from Xiaomi's robot Hoover, for example, that has an app that you can watch it do, literally hoover your whole home and see where it stopped or had a problem, or it could be that how the app connects to the refrigerator or the washing machine or your earbuds or your television. It's this wonderful, diverse ecosystem. But the way I believe that it's just Xiaomi have developed it is by keeping it really human. How can the tech elevate and improve one's life? For me, that's what I see with Xiaomi, is the ongoing evolution and the boundaries they push in the tech sector. It's a love brand for me because of all the convenience it brings as well.
Yeah, so in this case, it's not necessarily romance, but it is belonging. Like, they really built that community. And that's what we were talking about the other brands that I love. Like, it's this community that you can create. So it doesn't matter the sector.
Bobbie, I couldn't agree more. Exactly that. And Xiaomi makes sort of innovation feel really accessible, like super accessible and not exclusive, and affordable, by the way, and extremely affordable.
Yeah.
And when customers feel like a brand is for them, they stay. They're in it for the long haul, right? And that's the loyalty engine in my world. I've been very fortunate enough to be involved in sort of launch events and activations, meeting sort of KOLs, key opinion leaders, and those sort of influencers, and even media. It's a wonderful community where all these wonderful people come together and they're just so engaged with the brand.
This is a really good distinction between you and me, is that we don't want to overclaim university of a love brand, right? Like, because I love a brand doesn't mean my sister would love the brand. But I think it's brands really understanding who their market is. What I think Xiaomi has done really well is that they've understood their market and who their consumer is, because what we don't want to do is claim that universally, if it's a love brand in my heart, it is globally, right? And it doesn't work that way. And I think that's what makes brands able to achieve that status, is when they really understand who their consumer is, who they're creating products for, very targeted into who those personas are.
100%, I think you're spot on. And I think, look, in some places, love looks like status. And in other communities, reliability and value, for example, right? So it depends on the demographic. It depends on the market. And you're absolutely spot on that your love brand isn't going to be exactly what my love brand is, because what's important to you and what you connect with is going to be different to me. And that's what makes the world go round, right? Everyone's different. But the outcomes are the same. So if a brand is watching and thinking, we want to become a love brand, where do they start?
I think love brands are built through behaviors. So I would begin with being generous when something goes wrong. No brand is perfect, no human is perfect. So when you're treated respectfully and fairly, like, use common sense, treat your customers kindly, use language that signals respect but not distance, right? So don't be overly professional, use human communication, make them see your brand as another friend, and then creating those sensory experiences. So I think that's really important, because that's the part that creates that memory that really starts to strengthen the love brand connection. I think you need to surprise people when they're not expecting it. I've done programs in the past for brands where it's like a surprise and delight. And I think when people feel seen or are given a surprise unexpectedly, it makes them more loyal to you ongoing. Right. And then build a community where other people that love your brand can connect with each other and grow their communities as well.
So, big points there about consistency, right? I think is number one, and brands really trying hard to really sort of engage with their audience in the right way. But let's be honest here, none of that requires a massive budget, right?
Nope. It's just being very intentional and following through with what your promises are.
Let's just ground it for a second and keep it really simple. I like to say simple, stupid, right? Let's keep it simple, stupid. What does love actually do to the revenue line? I'm Chief Revenue Officer, so I'm interested in what does that do? What does that love do for the revenue of the business?
So it's going to reduce friction at every touch point. If your brand makes a mistake, but a customer already loves you, they're going to forgive you when you follow through with that honesty and integrity. It lowers acquisition costs. So you're not having to resell yourself every time, which I think I talked about a little bit in the beginning. It increases lifetime value and it creates advocacy. So that goes back to the community building part, right? You're telling your friend, those friends are telling other friends, and you're bonding over this brand.
Okay, so love brands essentially get recommended, they get defended, they get forgiven. Essentially, a growth advantage is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're going to buy more.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And it does sound very simple. It actually does sound very simple. When you present it that way, it's actually a very simple approach that works.
At the end of the day, it's building relationships with people that you care about, and hopefully brands do care about their customers.